in cases of overdose,
Mhm.
where does the moral responsibility lie? For example, should the focus be holding on the user being accountable, or do the dealers bear some responsibility as well?
I mean, as you said, I'm a counselor, and
Yeah.
morally, I believe the doctor should have some accountability in it, because addiction is a disease, and
Okay.
it's like taking advantage of something that's very vulnerable. People that are going through addiction are very vulnerable. So
Hmm.
anybody that has the power to feed that to, it's just like going to a drug dealer. Like drug dealers, they arrest drug dealers for giving possession of con- controlled substances, and it's
Yeah.
same thing. Doctors should not be exempt.
Got it. So, if they're not exempt, what type of message do you think that actually sends to society by saying the doctor should not be exempt as well? Do you think that well, let me not lead the witness, right? Let me not lead you in. Let me ask you, what do you think? What type of message do you think that sends to society?
I think it sends the message of clean cut justice. We all for one, one for all. We all should be held to the same uh, standard. Doctors
Okay.
ain't no different than, like I said, drug dealers.
Okay. So let's get into this next question then. If the user willingly seeks out the drugs, though, why should the dealer be held responsible for the consequences? Isn't the user making a personal choice?
The user is making a personal choice, and it's a double edged sword. I don't have a heaven or hell to put nobody.
Okay.
At the same time, I believe to each his own. If this man wants to take something that's not he shouldn't be taking, I mean,
Yeah.
that is also his choice. He has that choice. I offer prayer. Prayer is an amazing thing. That's what I would say to that person. But if that person
Hmm.
decided to end his life under, using drugs and all that good stuff, I would say that's his time. That was what his storyline was supposed to be. Everything happens according to the plan. It's not for me. It's
Mm.
not for me to make a decision for that person.
Mm.
As a counselor, that's what I preach. I preach more responsibility. Like, I help people
Okay.
learn how to be more responsible. Okay, like,
Okay.
because people that are more responsible are less likely to abuse themselves
Mm.
on any level. Like people that go to work, pay their bills, take care of their households, you know, exercise, do self care, practice all these great things. Those people are, they might have a drink, they might smoke a little bit of marijuana. They're not going to
Yeah.
use themselves though.